The moving finger writes, and having read, moves on, nor all the piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all the tears wash out a word of it. The phrase moving fingers symbolize the passage of time, which means once a moment happens, it is now the past. Our prayers or intelligence cannot turn back time. Basically, he wanted to tell us that we should be responsible with our life as history is unchangeable. His other famous quote is, "Algebras are geometric facts which are proof." This quote is related to one of his contributions to mathematics, which is geometric solution by the intersection of conics.
Omar Khayyam was born on May 18, 1048 in Nishabur, Iran, and died on December 4, 1131. Omar was a Persian mathematician, astronomer, and poet, renowned in his own country and time for his scientific achievements, but chiefly known to English-speaking readers through the translation of a collection of his Rubaiyat or quatrains in the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, 1859, by the English writer Edward Fitzgerald. He received a good education in the sciences and philosophy in his native Nishabur before traveling to Samarkand, which is now known as Uzbekistan, where he completed the algebra treatise Risalah fil Barahin ala Masail al-Jabar wal Muqabala, which means treatise on demonstration of problems of algebra, on which his mathematical reputation principally rests. In this treatise, he gave a systematic discussion of the solution of cubic equations by means of intersecting conic sections. He made such a name for himself that the Seljuk Sultan Malik Shah invited him to Isfahan to undertake the astronomical observations necessary for the reform of the calendar. To accomplish this, an observatory was built there, and a new calendar was produced, known as the Jalali calendar, based on the making of 8 every 33 years. It was more accurate than the present Gregorian calendar, and it was adopted in 1075 by Malik Shah. Omar's fame in the West rests upon the collection of Rubaiyat or quatrains attributed to him. Omar's poems had attracted comparatively little attention until they inspired Fitzgerald to write his celebrated The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, containing such now famous phrases as a jug of wine, a loaf of bread and thaw, and the flower that once has blown forever dies. These quatrains have been translated into almost every major language and are largely responsible for coloring European ideas about Persian poetry.
Omar Khayyam contributes both in mathematics and philosophy. One of his contributions is geometric solutions by the intersection of conics. He gave geometrical constructions for the roots of a cubic as the intersection of two conics. He also contributes the idea of parallel axiom. Khayyam explains that modern mathematicians had failed to prove the parallel postulate because they were only relying on the original 4 postulates in Book 1 of Euclid's Elements. Khayyam was able to create 2 principles that were equivalent to the parallel postulate without unjustified assumptions and succeed in bringing the 5th postulate to philosophical perfection.
Omar Khayyam was contributed in designing the Jalili calendar. The Jalili calendar was developed in the 11th century by a group of astronomers including the Persian scientist Omar Khayyam. The Jalili calendar is the first version of the modern solar Hijri calendar with a very precise 33-year intercalation cycle that provided the basis for the Persian calendar that is still in use after nearly a millennium. He was also compiled the astronomical tables which designed to facilitate the calculation of planetary position, lunar phases, eclipses, and calendarical information, and then manuscript and published materials. In math, a commentary on the difficulties concerning the postulates of Euclid's Elements, on the division of a quadrant of a circle, and on proofs for problems concerning algebra. While in philosophy, on existence, the necessity of contradiction in the world, determinism, and subsistence on being and necessity.